Joining me on this edition of Captains of Industry, I have James Formby, the CEO of Rand Merchant Bank. James, thanks very much for your time. Let's go all the way back to 1997 when you were appointed to a job in corporate finance at Rand Merchant Bank.
I joined RMB at the time. Was pretty much, it wasn't quite a boutique, but it was probably 300 or 400 people. So a very small business by comparison to today. And I joined in the corporate finance team, so mergers and acquisitions, and I was...
you were a transactor?
A transactor, junior transactor. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. Asked to value a company on my first day, and I needed to find a colleague very quickly to get some input as to what to do from there.
Was this straight out of university?
No, I'd studied and then I did my articles, and then after that I studied and worked overseas for a while. So this was coming back from overseas.
How quickly did you move through the ranks? I mean, you're now sitting as CEO of Rand Merchant Bank. It's a big entity. It's a very well-established brand within the South African business space. Was it a quick succession into different leadership positions for you?
I started out in the mergers and acquisition team, and about 3 years later, after that, I became a sort of team leader. So I had my own little team, but that was literally 2 or 3 people. And I took over the leadership of the corporate finance team in 2006. And did that for just over 3 years. Then took a broader role in the investment bank. And at that time, it was also to take responsibility for our African growth strategy, which was quite in its early stages at the time. And then from there in 2010, I was asked to head up a new team, which we hadn't had before, which was a client-facing team called Coverage. So started out, bringing that team together and then leading that team for the next 5 or 6 years.
Would it be fair to say that your leadership qualities were recognized repeatedly and relatively quickly throughout your career?
I wouldn't say that quickly. I've been with the bank over 20 years, so I've done many different roles. And what's been, for me, the most enjoyable is that I've been able to do many different things at the bank. So I've had a number of careers, but all of them have really been very sort of strong client-focused roles, and that's actually been the bit that I've enjoyed the most. So I've really loved the engagement with our clients that I've had over the 20-year period.
The reason I'm pushing you on this is that there are many people watching this show right now who have embarked on corporate careers.
Yes.
And I think central to this discussion is how you get recognized and not become a number within a large entity.
I think, the important thing and the advice I often give junior people that join RMB is to keep finding the bit extra to do. Take the initiative. So, if one's going to a meeting with a senior member of staff, offer to take the action points or the minutes, follow up with some of the points afterwards. Because I think people really value someone who's proactive and who's constantly engaging and coming up with sort of different thinking, new ideas. And so I think that's how in a competitive place one can get recognized.
You now obviously have been creating your own leadership team and surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Yes.
You took over officially from Alan Pullinger, the former CEO of RMB, in September 2015.
Yes.
Give us a sense of how the journey has been in surrounding yourself with the people that you have chosen to create your inner circle with.
Fortunately, I was sort of blessed with a lot of people that had been part of the bank for many years and that I'd worked with for a long period of time. So actually, in selecting a senior leadership team, I knew my colleagues very well. Most of them, almost all of them, had been with the bank between 10 and 20 years. So in that sense, it was, I was able to get a very strong sort of senior leadership together. Some that were new to the management board position, and some that had the continuity in history, because it's good to have a combination of experience. And actually only appointed one person from outside of the bank to that team. We've always had a very strong focus on building our talent from within, and making sure that we have people in senior leadership positions that understand RMB and the way it works, the way things get done at RMB.
Let's talk about the future of investment banking as you see it. I mean, we've got the world changing rapidly. We've got Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies entering the fray, which are effectively eliminating the need for a middleman. Does that worry you at the end of the day?
A lot of people ask about that, and clearly, you know, there is a pace of change that's happening, and it probably feels like it's accelerating. But I guess, you know, 30 years ago, you know, people that were dealing with the telex machine might have said that the fax machine was quite an innovation at the time, and so there is always change, and in a very technologically driven business that's happening all the time. I think for us, what we want to make sure of is that we are able to respond to our clients' needs all the time, and make sure that we stay at the leading edge of innovation on topics like blockchain, for example. Clearly, in time, you know, this will be a technology that will have much more applicability across the banking sector. But for now, we're learning about it. We've got a team inside RMB called the Foundry, which is an innovation hub. And inside that team, we've got a number of blockchain experts to make sure that we know how the landscape's going to evolve. So I guess that gives you a microcosm of what we see as the need to keep innovating across all our different areas at RMB.
Artificial intelligence, I suppose, goes into the same conversation.
Yes.
The back-end applications. So many bankers out there are saying that many of the back-end processes can now be automated.
Yes.
Are you seeing those trends really gripping the likes of a Rand Merchant Bank?
Yeah, so interestingly, Mr. Robert Bott, you can call him Rob Bott if you like, joined us in February this year.
I was a little slow to that, I have to say.
So Rob Bott joined. He actually has an employee number, and he works like an employee. He doesn't take any leave. And we've now got...
Well, that's the upside, isn't
yes,
it? He doesn't need any leave.
And he didn't ask for a bonus either. So
you really can't complain.
But he... so we've now got 10 robots similar to that. They're not all men and women. I'm joking, obviously they're robots.
I do like the gender equity coming into the discussion here. Thank you. So we're finding that there's great applicability for the robots in automating some of our inefficiencies, particularly between different systems. And we find that we've got people within our staff who spend some of their time doing pretty mundane data gathering information. And this is a fantastic way of streamlining those roles and actually allowing our people to focus on the more interesting side of their jobs, which is clearly making the decisions with the information that they can get. So we certainly are very excited by the progress we've already been able to demonstrate, and will continue with I have
AI.
To ask, what does the robot look like? I mean, is it what does he look like? I don't know how to ask that without offending anybody.
I know
he or she.
He or she. No, I know people have these pictures of them, like, you know, R2-D2 or. I
was thinking exactly of R2-D2.
Exactly, but actually you can't really see the robot. What you can do is see when they start working, because you can watch the screen that they and the PC they're working on, and you can watch them gather the information that they're gathering to pull, for example, a report together. So you can see them at work. But
we're not talking about a physical robot sitting at a desk.
There's not a physical robot at a desk. No, we don't have any of those wandering around RMB.
Well, you never know what tomorrow will bring.
Absolutely.
James, we're in a complicated environment in South Africa at the moment, and I'm choosing my words carefully.
Sure.
a lot of negative news headlines facing us on a daily basis. And I've put this question to every single captain that has sat in that hot seat over the last couple of months. How are you feeling about the general business environment, political as well in South Africa, the political environment as well in South Africa?
So clearly, both within RMB and we speak to our corporate clients and financial institutions and foreign investors every day. And I think that the biggest concern is that there's a lack of confidence in the current policy setting by the state. And part of that is due to obviously the uncertainty in terms of leadership that's going on within the ruling party. But also a deeper concern is the diminishing capacity within the state and its various arms to formulate that policy correctly, because it's absolutely vital for an efficient economy like South Africa to have strong and sensible regulation, and also to have a sense between government and business that pro-business policies are also pro-growth. And
growth, of course, we need growth, considering where we are from an economic standpoint.
Absolutely. And I fear that until we can get to a stage where there's greater confidence, we are going to be trapped in this low growth cycle, which unfortunately can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because lower growth means lower tax takings,
higher
unemployment, and so it becomes harder and harder for us as a country to pull ourselves out of that negative spiral.
We've seen a number of organizations, namely Business Unity South Africa, Business Leadership South Africa, the CEO Initiative, all coming to the fore to advocate specifically for that policy certainty in order to really drive the economic growth fundamentals for this economy.
Yes.
Do you believe that all that advocating is falling on deaf ears? Or do you believe we are making the right inroads?
Unfortunately for now, I think that, given the sort of complex dynamics that are at play, it's quite difficult for the leading government officials and politicians to give enough headspace and time to some of these initiatives. I think there is some progress on some of them, but the distractions are quite great at the moment, and so we're definitely not getting the kind of traction that I think we could as a country, given the distractions that are playing.
They say the old adage is capital flows where capital is welcome.
Yes.
Talent, I would say, also flows to where talent is welcome. And I'm not sure if you've seen the trend, but there's certainly a number of people that are exiting senior positions, that are leaving the country, many off to Australia, to the United States and to the United Kingdom. It's not to say that the world in any of these geographies is any better, because everybody is dealing with relatively tough environments right now, both economically and politically.
Yes.
When it comes to your commitment to South Africa, why are you staying?
Look, I am South African, and so I am deeply committed to making South Africa a better place. And I've seen over my lifetime how amazing, how we can achieve amazing things as a country. We've also, over my lifetime, seen some very dark periods of time in our history. So I have every confidence that South Africans will be able to actually find a sensible way forward and recreate the confidence that is lacking now. And I also think as RMB, as a talent brand, it's absolutely critical for us to continue to be a place where we can attract talent and allow talent to thrive within this banking industry, because the banking industry for South Africa is one of our key assets, and ultimately it's the oil, if you like, that makes the economy grow. So we've got a critical role to play in a successful South Africa and a growing South Africa. So I'm very committed to making that happen.
Let's come back to RMB and
Yes.
this term fintech.
Yes.
Gets thrown around all the time, and I'm
Yeah.
going to prove my ignorance here, and I'm
Yeah.
going to say to you, please unpack fintech for me.
Sure. So I think we've had fintech for a long time. I mean, obviously financial technology and banks and financial institutions have used technology for a very long time. So fintech is a new buzzword that really just refers to the speed at which technology is starting to transform some of the financial businesses, and particularly banks.
Would blockchain also fall into
Yes,
that fintech
I would
ambit?
definitely put blockchain into it. Blockchain is basically, or distributed ledger technology is effectively a means where different computers all talk to each other and agree that a transaction has taken place.
It's really disintermediation of decision making, isn't it?
It could be. You could see it like that. So what it could be, if, for example, let's say in South Africa we've got the deeds office where people register title deeds. Now, in theory, if we had an enabling environment, that could be done by many trusted sources talking to each other and confirming that property transactions had taken place.
So you wouldn't need the deeds office.
So you wouldn't need the deeds office. Now, that could actually be, if you apply it to financial transactions, it could be a way of actually streamlining them and making them more efficient over time, ultimately to take cost out of the system. That's easier said than done because, obviously you need an enabling regulatory environment, but you also need a lot of thought into the trusted sources and how they interact with each other. So it's not actually a South African issue as much as a global issue, which has South African consequences, if you like.
Good to know that RMB has its finger
Yeah.
on the pulse of the fintech environment.
Yeah.
If you sit at your desk in the morning and you
Yes.
open your diary, what does that diary page look like? So you come in, what time?
About 7:15.
Take me through your day. An average day.
An average day.
An average day.
Yeah. So
I'm sure people want to find out whether they should be CEOs or not from your answer
from
here.
my answer here. It's normally a combination of some internal meetings. So it could be, management board meeting or a credit committee meeting or an underwriting committee meeting. So there's a certain amount of governance that we need to have around some of the key decisions that we make as a
Some may
bank.
say banking has an over-regulated, or is an over-regulated environment post the 2008 crisis.
Yeah, these are not actually due to any regulation. I think it's just, when, for example, you're making a credit decision on, say, 5 or 10 billion rand, one needs to think deeply about it and make sure that we've really considered all the potential risks to that. So there's definitely an element of that.
On a daily basis, these are the
Yes.
decisions that face you.
Yes. So there'll be one of those on pretty much most days. There's normally some engagement with different employees or executives, talking about a specific issue or topic. And then I also want to spend time with clients. So I always make sure that at least part of my day is
So every day you do interact with clients?
I try to. I can't say that it's every single day, but at least during a week, I would like to have 5 or 6 engagements with key clients, either through a conversation or a face-to-face meeting, because ultimately that's what makes the business operate. Our clients are at the center of what we do.
Many CEOs have shortened the time required for meetings. Do you find that you've adopted that kind of style? Sometimes it's 15 minutes, decisions got to be in and out or not.
So what we have done is we haven't tried to shorten meetings. We have tried to shorten the documents that precede the meeting, because we find that if you don't limit that, then people typically write too much about the decision, and we lose track of the key issues. And so we shorten the documents. But it's actually important around any decision-making table to hear all views, and to make sure that a decision, any dissenting voices have the chance and opportunity to engage, debate, question. So I wouldn't want to shorten the meeting. I'm happy to shorten the
process leading up to the meeting.
Yeah.
What about family and balance? This proverbial question you must have been asked it a number of times by different journalists.
Absolutely. So I'm married and have 2 children, so they are now 13 and 10. So it's a constant juggle, and the weekdays are always very busy with work. So try and make sure that the weekends are family time, and normally family time means going to watch different kids' school sport, or taking them to parties or whatever. But
whatever it takes to make the balance.
Exactly, to try and fit it all in.
James, we're almost out of time.
Yes.
But your vision for Rand Merchant Bank, and I suppose let's add to that your personal vision,
yes,
your legacy as the leader of this organization.
So, Bronwyn, for me, I really want to make sure that RMB remains a company where talent can thrive. That's been what made us successful in the past. And so it's about ensuring that we've got the right environment, and that we've also got the right people with the right mindset inside the organization. So it's about having a can-do mindset, a passion for possibilities, people that can solve problems. And so the tagline "solutionist thinking" is one that I feel very strongly about, because if we can get that mindset across every RMBer, which I think we're close to, we'll unlock amazing value for clients. I certainly want us to continue to grow in the rest of Africa. We've made good progress, but we've got a long journey to go there. And I would certainly like us to be make sure that as an organization we're an inclusive and transformed environment where people from all genders, races, religious backgrounds, academic backgrounds all feel that they have a chance to make their impact on RMB and really perform at RMB.
James, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. I've been chatting to James Formby, CEO of Rand Merchant Bank, and you've been watching Captains of Industry here on CNBC Africa.